Friends and viewer, good day. John Fowles had written an outstanding novel. The name of this novel is The French Lieutenant's Woman. French Lieutenant's Woman. It is a very famous novel, and no doubt it had attained a great familiarity and popularity among the people. So the character involved in this novel, there are certain character. First of all, let me discuss the character. The first character in this novel is Sarah Woodruff. She is an educated but impoverished young woman. She is called the French Lieutenant's Woman or Tragedy or the French Lieutenant's War because it is believed that she had an affair with a shipwrecked French sailor. So the first woman, Sarah Woodruff. The other is Charles Smithson. He is a wealthy gentleman and is here to minor title. His hobby is collecting fossils, and he considers himself to be something of a naturalist. He is an admirer of controversial Darwin, and he is rather pleased with himself that he is one of the minority in 1860. So Ernestina Freeman. Ernestina is Charles' fiancée. She is attractive and clever, but also very young and naive. The other character is Aunt Tranter. Ernestina's aunt is a kindly woman whose temperament contrasts greatly with that of sharp-tongued Mrs. Polteny. Mrs. Polteny, the vicar, convinces the wealthy widow to take Sarah Woodruff and give her employment. Dr. Grogan, he is a friendly man whom Charles finds to be sympathetic listener. Captain and Mrs. Talbot. Sarah was the governess for the Talbot's children when she met the French lieutenant. Lieutenant Vargunis, caught in a shipwreck, his leg was injured and Vargunis was nursed at the home of Talbots. Mrs. Fairley, she is Mrs. Polteny's housekeeper. Millie, Mrs. Polteny's young maid. Mary, Aunt Tranter's maid. Sam Farrow, Sir Robert Charles Smithson, uncle. Lieutenant de Morel. These two individuals in a case history given to Charles by Dr. Grogan for him to read. Mr. Freeman, Gabriel, Christina, Rossetti, John Fowles. So these are the characters involved in this novel, The French Lieutenant Woman by John Fowles. So friends and viewers, let us see what is in this novel. This novel is based on 19th century romantic or gothic novel, a literary genre which can trace its origin back to the 18th century. Although Fowles perfectly reproduced typical characters, situations, and even dialogue, the reader should always be aware of the irony inherent in Fowles' perception, for his perspective, however cleverly discussed, is that of the 20th century. We see this both in the authorial intrusion, which comment on the modes of people in Victorian England, and his choice of opening quotation, which are drawn from the writing of people whose observation belie the assumption that most Victorians had about their world. Fowles is concerned in this novel with the effect of society, and on the individual awareness of himself or herself, how the awareness dominates and distorts his or her entire life, including relationship with other people. All the main characters in this novel are molded by what they believe to be true about themselves and other. In this case, their lives are governed by what the Victorian age thought was true about the nature of man and woman and their relationship to each other. The French lieutenant woman of the title, for example, is the dark, mysterious woman of typical Victorian romantic novel. Sometimes the villainess, sometimes the heroine. Such a woman was a symbol of what was forbidden. It is this aura of strangeness that Sarah Woodruff that first attracts Charles Smithson's attention. The story that develops around this pair echoes other romantic novel of similar type, wherein a man falls in love with a strange and sometimes evil woman. Charles' relationship with Ernestina Freeman creates another sort of romantic story, one that formed the basis of many Victorian novels. In the present story, the romantic situation which develop around the pair of aristocratic young people is not allowed to prevail over the forces, including the dark lady that would normally keep Charles and Ernestina apart. Thus, Fowles used the popularity of the comedy of manner and combined it with the drama and sensationalism of the Gothic novel, and using several stylistic convention creates a masterful many-layered mystery that is one of the finest pieces of modern literature. So, ladies and gentlemen, this French Lieutenant woman is written by John Fowles. It is a very popular novel, well liked and admired by the majority of the people who love English literature. I hope you will enjoy this when you go through the pages of this novel. Thank you very much.